I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25. Let's focus on verses 2 and 3. If the guilty party deserves to be flogged, then the judge will make him lie down and be flogged in his presence with the number of lashes appropriate for his crime. He may be flogged 40 lashes, but no more. Otherwise, if he's flogged with more lashes than these, your brother will be degraded in your sight. Deuteronomy 25, verses 2 and 3. Now, in the Christian faith, there are three words that are important to understand when it comes to the relationship between man's behavior and God's standard. And those three words are justice, grace, and mercy. Now, justice is the blind execution of the law. Justice respects no person. There is no top end of the ladder or bottom rung of the ladder. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's beneath it. It's purely an advocate for the law's standard. And when an alleged infraction arises, justice is executed solely on the facts weighed against the letter of the law. That's why that image of justice of the lady with the blindfold on holding the scales, she's not looking, it's just being weighed according to the law. Consider Exodus 24, verse 7, when we think of God as our judge. He will by no means clear the guilty. Now, mercy, that's what justice is. Mercy is when a guilty party does not get what they deserve to the extent that they deserved it, due to the benevolence of either the accuser or the judge. Now, guilt is an immutable state of being for the lawbreaker. You're either guilty or you're not. And while guilt remains, the consequences for guilt are lessened or even removed completely through mercy. If a guy stole a car and the judge says, oh, well, you know what? We're not going to put you in jail for that. The guy is still a car thief. That has not changed. His guilt has not changed, but the sentence has been lessened. Or what if the person whose car was stolen goes to the trial and says, Judge, please don't hold this against him because it was my car and I don't want to press charges. Ephesians chapter 1, verses 4 and 5. But God, who is abundant in mercy because of his great love that he had for us, made us alive with the Messiah, even though we were dead in our trespasses. So we know what justice is. We know what mercy is. Grace is getting something that you don't deserve. Mercy is not getting what you deserved to the extent that you deserved it, but grace is getting something that you don't deserve. If I were to walk up to a complete stranger and give them a Ferrari, right? You're like, please let that stranger be me. Well, that would be gracious to say the least. They did nothing to acquire such a gift, and the gifting was not contrary to their spiritual condition per se. Ephesians chapter 1, verses 5 through 7. But by grace you were saved. He raised us up with him and seated us with him in the heavens in the Messiah, Jesus, so that in the coming ages he might display the immeasurable riches of his grace and his kindness to us in Jesus. Ephesians 2, verses 5 through 7. So today's passage in Deuteronomy 25 primarily deals with justice and mercy. It shows how the judge can be both just and merciful in the very same instance. The judge can carry out the full letter of the law while still respecting the dignity of the person who is being punished. And let this be a challenge when seeking justice. Remember to be merciful. And through it all, the guilty party remains your brother or your sister. And perhaps the greatest gift that you'll ever give yourself is an enemy turned grateful friend. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.